Haven't made a video for like over a week now. We had some vicious flooding and stuff. I'll show a little clip of that.
Our community center is getting overflowed with people who are losing their homes, losing everything that they know and love. It's just crazy. It goes further down into town.
I also got really sick. Anywho, so to answer a question on the YouTube comments, I made a little really cheap chopper. And if I go to move, he tilts kind of slowly. He has this little tilting effect. And I thought I'd show you how I did that real quick. Just super simple. So here's my chopper, and it's literally just an empty with a bunch of cubes on it. The one cube's the blade, it's just rotating on the FSM. Beyond that, and this could kind of be more of a preference thing, as I'm using an anchor point here so that everything is under there, and if I rotate this thing, we have our rotation. So it's simply left and right and forward and back. Pretty simple. So the forward and back is on the X, and the left and right is on the Z. And the way I did that is very simply, all I'm doing is getting an axis, I'm multiplying it by a number. That number is how far I want it to actually go. Right, so 35, I figured there is a pretty good tilt. You can go a little farther or a little less. Right, so that's where I got the number I wanted to multiply it by, 35. And on the X I did negative 35 because it needed to be inverted. So I do that with both vertical and horizontal. And if you want to do 135 and 140 or 20 or whatever, it's not a big deal. Next I use an action called float smooth damp, and we take a new variable that we haven't used yet. I called it Y rotation. The target is this multiplied Y from here. So I multiply it. That's where we want to go, because that's what the input's telling us. And this is our current, and we have a time of how long we want it to get there. Right? If I put this up to 3, things look pretty slow. And then at the end, this Y rotation, which is slowly trying to follow this guy based on this time, and same with the X. When I just called them rotation, I didn't call them X rotation. I don't know why. So we have these two numbers, and they're chasing the two input numbers that are multiplied, and we set rotation on the X and the Y and the Z to those two values, self every frame. And I'm using the rotation of this guy, and that gives us, see now I put the time to 3, so that's going to be really excessively slow. Right. So I let go, which I mean, it still looks pretty good going that slow, I guess. It's all personal preference, I suppose. Now, you're probably wondering, how did I do the speed like that though? Right, so that's there. Now, if I jump this up to like super fast, it's pretty snappy. Right, yeah, it's pretty snappy, which, I mean, if you have a high-speed action game, that's probably closer to how you want it. Right? I mean, if you want to do maybe it's not such a high-speed action game, and you want it so the targeting and the driving might be a little more like even going right and then going left right there. It takes time to loop and go back. But the speed, however, the speed's quite different. I did the speed simply by getting the two values that it's chasing, right? That rotation value and the Y rotation value. And I multiply those because with the X, because of the rotation, I had to invert it. When I put it back in the movement, I needed to kind of uninvert it, so I'm inverting it again. And then I also cut it in half, so it's not quite as fast. So if I wanted to speed these up like this, and then I'm just using a translate, but that could easily be a velocity or something too if you wanted to use a velocity. But you'll see now, like my actual movement gets much quicker. All right, yet if I want to turn and go right, it has that long kind of delay. I don't even know where I am on the map anymore. That's how long that is. All right, and if I hit left, I get the slow spinning thing like this. It's way too, like if you were going to do that, you'd have to speed these up. Maybe take those more closer to something like that. But anyways, it's really just those numbers. It's one's for that FSM's for movement, the other one's just for turning, and it's just so that the turning isn't as snappy. I wanted the turning to match a bit of that tilt, and that just seems like a nice way to get it, is to get the number that it's tilting with and use that as kind of a multiplier for the speed. But anyways, so that's kind of how I did that, and I thought I'd show you that, and I'll check in the next video.